Welcome back everybody to my latest Q&A where I answer your burning questions. But before I get to the first question, a couple of very quick announcements. First up, for my January giveaway, I'm giving away a hex-clad 10-inch pan. Those are worth over $100, so be sure to click on the giveaway link in the description below. Number two, I do have channel memberships for extra content, and you can also win a free membership during the premiere of my Q&As. Every Q&A I give away several memberships. All you have to do is be there during the premiere, and you have a chance to win. Number three, the Freakin Reviews newsletter is heating up. It's packed with all kinds of interesting stuff, and I send them out several times a week whenever I release a new video. So if you haven't joined the newsletter, please do so now. Also, the Freakin store is online where you can get your Freakin Reviews merch, so check out the link below. And with that, let's get to the first question. This person asked if I ever return a product to retailers after a review if I think it was scammy or downright broken. Now, it's pretty rare for me to actually return an item. I would say of the over 1,600 products I've reviewed over the years, maybe I've returned 5 of them, and in those cases, it just didn't work. I don't really return items because they're not good products. I tend to hold on to them, which maybe I shouldn't. This person asked, what's a video you try to do but went so horribly that you scrapped it? You know, there's actually a lot of examples of those. The first one that comes to mind is actually a fan that I tried to review last summer that it supposedly repels flies. I set up a table in my backyard. I had one side with the fan, other side without. I had different fruits and all kinds of different sweet things to attract flies. No flies came. The next day I set up some different things, no flies. After 3 days I said, forget it. The one time I wanted flies, no flies showed up. Sometimes things are out of your control, and how many flies come into my yard is out of my control. This person asked, do you use electric clippers or go old school with a razor? He's asking because he wants to have that sleek Patrick Stewart look. I shave in the shower using my Gillette Fusion 5, hot water against the grain. The hot water and the blades kind of help any potential issues going against the grain. I also don't have much hair on top, so that kind of makes the sleek look pretty easy for me. This person asks, has any company asked to use your review of their product in an ad? Yes, and I've almost always said no. Back in the early days, I said yes a couple times. I wish I hadn't. But nowadays, I always say no. So if you ever see my video being used in an ad, they took it without my permission, and a lot of times, it's not even the actual product I tested. This person asked, can you review a rice cooker? I don't know if I've seen something like that on your channel. Last year, I did review the As Seen on TV rice robot. I've been kind of recently looking at a KitchenAid model. It looks kind of interesting. I'm still kind of thinking about that one, but I haven't pulled the trigger yet. If I do another rice maker, that'll be the one I do. Chad Oliver 5160 asks, do you plan to do any more collaborations with your cousin Chad? He's funny. That's Chad that asked this question. Fun fact, I don't even know if Chad remembers this, but Chad is the first person I ever watched an R-rated movie with when I was a little kid. I probably was too young to be watching that movie, but my first memory of watching an R-rated movie was with him. But if you like cigars and whiskey and that sort of thing, check out my cousin Chad's channel, and yes, we will do another collab whenever we see each other again. This person asked, do you know how unironically funny you are? Well, I guess I'm kind of funny as long as you don't mind Gen X era dad jokes. Anybody who's lived with me can attest that I'm always joking around, and sometimes when I probably shouldn't be. So when you joke around that much, you're bound to come up with a good one once in a while. This person asked, can you do a review of one of those electric scrubbing tools for the bathroom? Now, I did several of those back in the early days, 2016, 2017. I did the Hurricane Spin Scrubber, the Turbo Scrub, the Clorox Scrubtastic. They're all kind of the same. I probably won't do another one unless there's some sort of innovation. There's a whole bunch of different models online nowadays. Most of them work pretty well. I just bought one recently and it works perfectly fine. I'm hoping that they come out with some sort of a new generation of those so I can review that. This person asked, are you gonna do more videos with your son? Brandon moved to Maine, but when he comes back to visit, we will do videos together. We're already talking about doing a Shark Tank season 15 when he returns, hopefully in the spring. This person asked, do you have a plan for the things that end up in the boneyard? This spring, I'm gonna be going through and doing kind of an overhaul of the boneyard. It's getting full. I guess the boneyard's full. So some of those things have been in there untouched since 2017. So I'm gonna go through all those boxes, gonna pull everything out, reorganize it. I'm gonna put it in 3 piles: donate, give away, and keep. I'm hoping to thin that down considerably. For those of you in the Las Vegas Valley, if you hit a thrift store this spring, you might end up seeing a whole bunch of stuff that I reviewed in the past because I'm going to be giving a lot of it away. T-Bone8713 asks, has anyone ever asked you to stop filming while out on location? I don't recall that happening while out and about, but one time I was down at the world's largest gift shop down on the strip and I was going to do a video down there, and the security guard said I can't film there. So I said, forget it, I won't do a video here then. Traylon Robert asks, have any companies reached out while developing a product to get your input? There was a person a couple years ago who was developing a pet brush and they kept sending me different iterations of it and I would give them their input. I'm not sure what happened because I never heard from them again. I'm not sure if it ever got made or if it got scrapped, but I did get my input on that one. Even prior to that, there was an As Seen on TV company, kind of a big one, that originally wanted to pay me to evaluate their prototypes to give my input on those. I'm not sure why that fell through, but that was something that I had talked to them about, but it never really happened. This person asks, have you ever had a product so bad you stopped the review before it was posted? Yes, that actually happens all the time. In fact, it happens so much, I've started a new series for members in which I show those incomplete disasters and talk about the reason that video was never completed. Also, I give away memberships during all of my Q&A premieres, so if you win one of those, be sure to check out that new series. A couple of similar questions. Now, I've answered this before, but I'll answer it again because I like talking about Bailey. Person asks, how old is Bailey? And have you had her since she was a puppy? The other person says, how old and how long have you had Bailey? I'm not sure where Bailey's at. She was just here a minute ago. Bailey turns 10 years old this month, and I've had her since she was a puppy. In fact, I just ran across a video that I shot of her moments after getting her. I'll show you that right now.
Hi. Okay.
I don't know what I'm going to be planning for Bailey's 10th birthday, but I'll be doing something. Because 10 years, that's a big milestone in a dog's life. This person asks, I'm wondering what the most convoluted product you reviewed is. On the top of my bald head, the first thing I can think of is the icy maker. That thing took like 14 steps, 30 minutes, and I got mediocre icy at best. And it was 130 bucks. One Sonic guy asks, have any companies sent you anything after seeing your videos where you give their products a glowing review and recommendation? Once in a while that does happen. I've had a few companies say, hey, we liked your review, we want to send you something just kind of as a thank you. That's happened a couple times. The Pizza Cupcake did that. More recently, the Dio Cano company also did that. The more common scenario after my reviews is if I review a product from an inventor and I gave it any kind of a criticism whatsoever, I hear from them because they can't handle criticism at all. And when they write to me about that, I don't respond. This person asks, please tell us what silly nicknames you have for Bailey or your other pets. I've always had nicknames for my pets. Bailey's other nickname, which is used about 20% of the time, not by me, but everybody, is Bibs. So when I first got Bailey, I had another golden retriever named Daisy. Now Daisy had a couple of nicknames, one of them being Bibs. So when Bailey came around, we had Daisy and Bailey, so that only makes sense to be Dibs and Bibs. So Bailey, about 20% of the time here, is called Bibs. Couple of similar questions here. This person asked, do you ever give some of the products you reviewed away as Christmas or birthday gifts? Someone else asked, do you ever re-gift any of the products that you review? I know sometimes you get products gifted to you. Are you a re-gifter? I'm gonna have to admit, I have re-gifted some of these items before. But you know, I got so many products here, and then sometimes around the holidays or birthday, you think, this item would be perfect for this person. So should I feel guilty for re-gifting it? I don't. But, and if they like it, you know, no harm, right? But yes, I am guilty of re-gifting some of the items I reviewed. Denise Love 6971 asks, with both your children living out of state, what do you do on the holidays? Do you visit them or do they come to Vegas? So this past holiday season, it was just me and my mom here. I did drive down to Arizona to see one of my kids, and my other one, we just did a Zoom call. There's been a lot of changes in recent years. It's kind of hard for me to know what's going to happen next year. Renee from Nebraska asks, what's the most surprising product that you had little hope for to work and turned out useful? That actually happens quite a bit. I mean, first things that come to mind was the one I just recently did with the EverToast. I thought that was kind of this gimmicky plate, but it actually worked better than the regular plate for grilled cheese. Another kind of funny example was the robot dishwasher. That was one that looked like a complete disaster. Even though it wasn't perfect and I didn't keep using it, it did actually work. A couple of similar questions here. Both of them want to know why I'm using an app with ads on it instead of the native iPhone Stopwatch app. Well, I mean, I've been using that Stopwatch app for years. It's kind of hard for me to stop at this point. The main reason I use that one is because it has nice big numbers that you can see easily on camera. I've recently started using the iPhone Stopwatch because it seems like a lot of people are triggered by the fact that I'm not using it. Point Justice asks, do you still listen to Java? What other unexpected music are you listening to currently? I do still listen to him, and I'm always going through weird phases. Not long ago, it was old crooners like Jack Jones and Andy Williams. About once a year, there's a yacht rock phase or a 70s disco phase. The band I've been listening to lately is one I was into in the early 90s, which is the Sundays. Owen the Slug asks if there's a product I bought for review and used the absolute most. Not just because it's something like a keychain that has to get used daily, but something I actually reached for. Now, the obvious answer is the BedJet, which I used multiple times a day, but people are getting sick of hearing me mention that one. Other contenders would be the bowl huggers. Not only do I use that regularly, but I've given those as gifts several times. Another example sitting right next to me is the Fireplace Wax Melt Warmer, which I use every day. Vic M623 asks, would you ever shave your beard? Well, as the great philosopher Justin Bieber once said, never say never. But you know, I've done that a few times over the years. I look funny without facial hair, at least a little bit. I gotta have it around my mouth area at least. There's the few times I have shaved over the years, people close to me say, James, grow it back. Member question, Sarah asks, I know Las Vegas is a massive metropolis, but do you ever get recognized around town while out of town? I don't get out very much. I'm here most of the time. Although last week I was at the Yard House and I did get recognized by one of the waiters there. A few months ago at the post office, one of the workers there recognized me. That was kind of interesting. It doesn't happen too often, but it is kind of cool when people tell me they watch my videos. Amy Fox 9659 asks, what is your favorite tested cooking appliance? I'm thinking of countertop appliances that I still have and still use. I would say the Ninja Foodie oven is the one I've used the most over the years. I've had that one since for about 5 years now, and it's still on my counter. I still use it. And I think the Frigidaire ice maker, I haven't had that as long, but I use that on pretty much a daily basis. So those are the first two that come to mind. This person asks, what are your thoughts on Hail the Sun? I love him. I'm a big fan of all those Swancore bands. In fact, I met Donovan when he was the singer of Cianvar, and we actually spoke about Hail the Sun. When any of my fellow Gen Xers say that young musicians aren't that talented these days, I'll point them to videos of Will Swan on the guitar or Donovan playing drums and singing at the same time, because those guys are awesome. I got one from Uncle Ham 204. He says, thanks for answering my last question. Another is, why do you repeat yourself? Do you wish you were a sports announcer? Do I repeat myself? Do I repeat myself? I used to be a sports announcer of sorts. but not anymore. This person asks, which product did you have the hardest time designing a test for? The first thing that comes to mind are the dash cams. I did 2 of those videos and they were a complete nightmare. I stopped doing those because not only was it hard to set up 4 dash cams in the car at the same time, it also seemed potentially illegal and unsafe. And even once all the filming was done, then I had all this camera footage and audio I had to edit. Editing was a nightmare on those. Every step of those videos just seemed like a lot more work than it should have been. Stephanie Lopez 7360 asked, when did you know that this was the career for you? Pretty early on. My first month on YouTube, I had 100,000 views. My second month on YouTube, I had 300,000 views. At that point, I said, I'm onto something here. I was full-time within a few months and I never looked back. David James 6879 asked, what was the most expensive item reviewed that was a total disappointment? Man, a lot of things come to mind for that one. The first one comes to mind is the Revolution toaster, which was $350. I really liked that toaster. What was disappointing is that it didn't last very long. A little over a year later, right after my update video, by the way, it stopped working. Going back a little further, I paid over 150 bucks for a pillow by Tempur-Pedic. That one was terrible too. I do like doing cheap versus expensive product comparisons, and sometimes the expensive one isn't worth the money. Garrett B asked, what's your go-to meal at Taco Bell? Now, I go to Taco Bell more than I care to admit. Recently, I was eating a lot of those Cheez-It tostadas, but those went away. Now I'm eating the regular tostadas. My favorite for years was a double-decker taco, but when that's not around, I'll do the double-stack taco. This person says, Hoosier here. How did you become an Indiana fan? Are you originally from Indiana? Or maybe go to school there? I know I've answered this one in the past, but it's been a while. I don't really have much of a connection to Indiana, except for the fact that I have family there. I have several cousins. I have one cousin who I visit fairly regularly who lives outside of Indianapolis, so that's the reason you occasionally see me wear an Indiana shirt. Got 2 similar questions here from Glamorous Frog. I've seen you talk about your tinnitus, aka tinnitus, before. Like you, I also have it. What's your best methods for making it tolerable? Next person asks, fellow tinnitus sufferer here, I would love to see your take on sleep noise machines. To me, the only thing is really just avoiding silence, because silence is pretty awful, because then it's just loud ringing. I have a white noise app on my phone that I have just kind of as an emergency in case I'm out and about and I don't have a fan or something. Usually I sleep with a fan on, and that's good enough. I can pretty much any white noise will do. As long as it's not dead silent, I'm completely satisfied. The only times that it gets worse is when I'm sick and I have flare-ups, then the ringing is so loud it's over almost everything else. Otherwise, I don't remember life without ringing ears. In fact, I think if I ever heard dead silence, it might freak me out. Jamie James 2338 asks, how do you choose the products that you review? Would you review products from other platforms like TikTok shops? Usually I'll review something if it's weird, if it's viral, if it's being advertised, or if it's potentially useful. I'll do something from other platforms if it fits one of those other categories. If something's unusual or being advertised on TV or online, I'll probably review it. This person wants to know, what makes your reviews freaking? I needed an adjective. You can't just say reviews. It has to be something reviews. I originally wanted to be Epic Reviews, but there was already a channel called Epic Review Guys. I didn't want to be confused with them, so freaking it was. Well, that's it for this Q&A. I hope that those of you who won memberships during the premiere can binge some of that extra content. I'll be back next month with my next Q&A. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you next time. All right, today there is no review. I asked everyone to submit questions for an Ask Me Anything, so that's what I'm gonna do, and people really did ask anything. So hopefully I'll not bore you to tears as I answer your questions in today's video.